Hello everyone, I am Mohid Ahmed Siddiqui, and in this video I will demonstrate, I will explain IAS 38, the basics of IAS 38. This accounting standard concerns the intangible assets. So first of all, the question here arises, what are intangible assets? Now, on the screen, you can see there are three important definitions given in the international accounting standard. What I have done here, I have simplified, I have tried to simplify the definitions of the three terms. First of all, the intangible asset. Now, intangible asset is, as you can see, as I have mentioned here on the slide, that an intangible asset is an identifiable non-monetary asset without physical substance. So what do we mean by the term identifiable? By the term identifiable, we mean that the company, the entity, the business should be able to sell the asset separately. This means that the asset can be identified separately from other things in the business. If the company is able to sell the asset separately, it is an indication, it is it is an evidence that the asset exists separately from other assets in a business, so it is separately identifiable, non-monetary. Now, what is meant by the term non-monetary? Non-monetary, as the word suggests, means that something which is not monetary. Mm, Monetary assets. So, first of all, let me explain monetary assets. Monetary assets have a fixed currency value, have a fixed currency value, like accounts receivable. With accounts receivable, we are uh, with accounts receivable, we know that how much amount we will receive from our debtors, how much amount we will receive from our debtors. uh, if the accounts receivable balance is like $500, then we are to receive $500 from our debtors. In the same way, accounts payable, the accounts payable balance shows the amount that we need to pay, that we will have to pay to our creditors. Now, this is a fixed amount. This is a fixed amount. This amount is not. We are sure. We are guaranteed that this amount will not change in future. We are guaranteed that this amount will not change in future. This is a fixed currency value. This is a fixed value. So monetary assets like accounts receivable, accounts payable have a fixed value in terms of currency units. Whereas non-monetary assets, we are not sure about the currency value of the non-monetary assets. Now, for example, we have a motor vehicle. We have a motor vehicle in the business, and the written down value of the motor vehicle, or you can say the carrying value of the motor vehicle currently is, let's suppose, $1,000. Now, when I will go to sell the when I will go to sell the motor vehicle in the market, although I have valued motor vehicle in my statement of financial position at $1,000, but can I be sure that I will be able to sell this asset for $1,000? No, definitely not. So, motor vehicle is a non-monetary asset. This is the difference between the monetary assets and the non-monetary assets. Intangible assets, according to IAS 38, are non-monetary items. are non-monetary. Okay. Now, continuing with my explanation, these assets, intangible assets, you should have you should have uh, studied the fact earlier in your previous studies that intangible assets do not have a physical existence. So here it is mentioned that intangible assets do not have physical substance. Now let's look at some of the examples of intangible assets. First of all, license. For example, a TV channel. We decide to start a TV channel in a certain uh, in a certain country, in a certain city, and but before starting a TV channel, what we need to do, we need to get a license from the government. Now we purchase a license for, let's say, 10 years. That license will give us the right to broadcast our transitions, to broadcast different TV programs, our transmissions for the next 10 years. So a license is what? A license guarantees a right, and a right does not have physical existence. So a license is an intangible asset. In the same way, you should have heard of patents. For example, we invent something new, and we get the invention patented. We register a patent for the invention, which means that no one else uh, other than us, as we have invented something new. We have invented, let's suppose, we invent some kind of a new technology. So no one else other than us will be able to copy the technology that we have invented. No one else will be able to use the technology without our permission. No one else will be able to sell the property without permission. This is because of the patent. Now, what the patent, once we got the patent registered, that patent gave us exclusive rights to the ownership of the invention. We are the exclusive owners of the invention. No one else can use that without our permission. So what patent does, it confers a right to the person registering the patent. License, patents, another example of intangible assets could be goodwill. Another example could be brands. Now, goodwill, what is goodwill? Goodwill is the reputation a business has earned over time. Now, for example, I am doing a tutoring business. What if I do this business for years and years? Let's say I continue in this business for the next 10 years. What will happen? People will start recognizing me more and more. So this is what goodwill is all about. Goodwill is about the reputation of a business. And when we purchase a business, when we acquire some business, we definitely pay for the goodwill of that business. Now, brands are uh, brands uh, brands are certain products or services that have a name in the market, that have a big name in the market. And many businesses establish their brands. uh, Many businesses establish their brands by promoting their products or services in different ways. Now, for example, We can say like PlayStation. PlayStation is a brand, and who is the owner of the brand? The Sony company is the owner of the brand PlayStation. In the same way, Xbox is a brand, and Microsoft is the owner of the brand. Brand is a name. Brand is a name, a big name, a big, uh, a popular name that a product or a service earns over time. So these are the brands. Now, so these are the thing is, the thing is uh, here you need to understand that these are some examples of intangible assets. All these things like goodwill, brand, license, patents, they do not have any physical existence, and these are said to be intangible assets. Now, another example that I I think I should tell you that I feel is very important of intangible assets here is computer software. A computer software developed by a company or acquired by a company, purchased by a company is an intangible asset. Now, computer software, we can use the software on screen, but we cannot touch the software in the same way as we can touch a hardware, as we keep the hardware. Hardwares require some space in our office, in our living room. So software does not require any space. Software is something that we only see on the screen, that we use using uh, using our keyboard, our mouse, and the input devices we uh, so the way we use softwares is not the same as we make use of the hardwares. As hardware, computer hardware have physical substance, as opposed to hardware, softwares do not have physical substance. Now, this is also a very good example of intangible asset, computer software. So I have given you certain examples, I have given you a list of examples here to explain what actually are intangible assets. And in my opinion, this is just an opinion, the most important characteristic of intangible asset, of any intangible asset, is that it does not have any physical existence. No physical existence. Okay. Now, the IAS 38 gives two important definitions here. One is the research and other is the development. Research is a planned investigation to get some new knowledge. Although I have simplified the actual definition of research as stated in IAS 38 in the IFRS framework. I have simplified the definition here just to make you understand in an easier way. Research is planned investigation to gain new knowledge, whereas development is the application of research findings to bring improvements, to, you can say, to develop new products or services, to develop new products or services. Now, let me explain research and development with the help of an example. Let's suppose that there is a team of scientists, and there is a team of scientists, and wants to find a cure. The team has started a research to find a cure for certain disease, for some kind of a disease. Let's suppose further that the team starts its working, its research, in fact, on 1st January. Now, they are performing their research and the days are passing. The days are passing, and finally on 30th June, they become certain, they become pretty much sure that they will be able to develop a medicine for that, or a vaccination or a medicine for that particular disease. They will be able to, and they announce that they will be able to find a treatment, that they will be uh, able to provide the public with the treatment, with the cure of that particular disease. On 30th June, they are certain, they are sure. On 30th June, they confirm, the team confirms on 30th June, after spending 6 months in research, after spending 6 months of research, the team of scientists confirms that they will be able to develop a cure. They will be able to develop a medicine or a vaccination for that disease. Now, now, in the next 6 months, they come up, they invent or they manufacture, they come up with a formula, they come up with some kind of a medicine or some kind of a vaccination in the next 6 months for the disease, for the treatment of the disease, in fact. So now these 6 months, in the next 6 months, in the later 6 months, in the later half of the year, what the team did, the team actually developed the team actually developed the cure. But in the first 6 months, the team was only spending their time doing research. Research is when we are only we are only trying to find something, we are only investigating, we are only performing an investigation. Research is an investigation. Research is all about investigating to find, to gain new knowledge. But development is when we are sure. In the research phase, the team was not sure. The team was only trying to find the cure, but the team was not sure whether they will be able to, whether they would be able to find the cure or not. But in the later half of the year, when the team confirmed, when the scientists were uh, were confident that they will develop a certain medicine or a vaccination for the disease, this was development. So in the next 6 months, they actually developed the medicine or vaccination for the disease. But in the first 6 months, all they did was to perform a research. All they did was that they performed a research. So, research IAS 38 says that research should not be capitalized and, in fact, should be expensed out, should be expensed in profit and loss statement. But development should be capitalized as an intangible asset. Now, for development expenditure to be capitalized, there is a certain criteria that should be met before development can be capitalized as a non-current asset. Now, here. Here I have definitions. This is the study text, the BPP study text. Here I have definitions. I have already told you the definition of intangible asset, the research and the development. Now, this is the definition of an asset as set out in the framework IFRS. An asset is a resource controlled by the entity as a result of the past events and from which future economic benefits are expected to flow to the entity. Now, one more thing, amortization. For amortization, uh, for amortization, uh, it is not a very difficult concept. Amortization is nearly the same as depreciation. Is nearly the same as depreciation. On tangible assets, we charge depreciation, but on intangible assets, we charge amortization in the same way as we charge depreciation to the tangible assets. However, there is a situation when no amortization is charged on intangible assets. I will explain the situation in detail later in this chapter. Now, here you can go through these points, research and development. These are some good points about research and development to remember. So I suggest that you just read these points, and you should be able to understand these points as they are not very difficult to understand. Just go through these points when you read the study text. Make sure that you go through these points. These are good points. These are the points that are worth remembering. Moving forward, now, as I said, that certain criteria have to be met. There is a recognition criteria for development cost. So certain criteria should be met. There is this criteria should be met for development cost to be recognized as intangible assets. P. How the intangible asset will generate probable future economic benefits. Now, uh, the company should be able to demonstrate the business concerned, uh, should be able to demonstrate that how it will generate future economic benefits from the use of the intangible asset. The second criteria is that the second point in this recognition criteria is the entity's intention to complete the intangible asset. It simply means that the company actually wants to complete the intangible asset and wants to use it or sell it in the future. R, the company should have enough financial and other resources to complete the development and and to use or sell the intangible asset. Number 4, the entity must be able to use or sell the intangible asset. T, technical feasibility of completing the intangible asset so that it will be available for use or sale. Technical feasibility, technically technically it should be possible, it should be possible for the business concerned. On technical grounds, it should be possible for the business concerned, for the company to complete the intangible asset, and there should be no technical barriers. Its ability to measure reliably the expenditure attributable to the intangible asset during its development. Its ability to measure reliably the expenditure. So the company should be able to measure the expenditure attributable to the intangible asset during its development. No, so it simply means that the company should be able to measure the cost that will be incurred to develop the intangible asset. If these 6 points are if these 6 points are met, if these 6 points are if these 6 points are met, if these six recognition criteria are fulfilled, then then only we can recognize the development costs as our intangible assets. And these six criteria can be remembered, can be reminded using the mnemonic pi rate: P for probable, I for intention, R for resources, A for ability, T for technical feasibility, and E for expenditure. So these are the 6 points that need to be fulfilled. These are the six criteria that need to be fulfilled using the mnemonic pi rate: P for probable, I for intention, R for resources, A for ability, T for technical feasibility, E for expenditure. Now, for the amortization of development cost, as I said earlier when I was telling about the amortization is similar. The concept of amortization is similar to that of depreciation. You can say on in intangible assets we charge amortization in the same way that we charge depreciation to tangible assets. Now, once capitalized, let me read this section for you: amortization of development cost. Once capitalized as an asset, development cost must be amortized. Development cost, once we have uh, once we have capitalized our development costs as intangible assets, they need to be amortized and recognized as an expense to match the cost with the related revenue or cost saving. In the same way, uh, in the same way uh, as depreciation, amortization also follows the concept of also follows the matching concept. In fact, match the cost with the related revenue or cost saving. The the costs should match the revenues. In The cost should be charged to the period in which the revenues the revenues are earned from the asset. In the same period, the costs should be amortized, cost should be charged to the profits. So matching concept applies here in the same way that matching concept applies to depreciation. uh, the amortization will begin when the asset is available for use. Okay. Amortization, we start charging amortization once the asset is available for use. Amortization must be done on a systematic basis to reflect the pattern in which the related economic benefits are recognized. Now you may be able to remember from uh, you may be able to remember from your study of IAS 16 that IAS 16 says same about depreciation. IAS 16 says that depreciation should be uh, should be charged in a systematic way to reflect the pattern in which economic benefits are obtained from the uh, from the tangible asset, from the physical, from the plant and equipment, from the non-current asset. In the same way here, amortization, here it is mentioned that amortization must be done on a systematic basis to reflect the pattern in which related economic benefits are recognized. The method of the the way in which amortization is calculated, the way in which amortization is charged should reflect the way in which economic benefits are obtained from the intangible asset. This is what this particular sentence actually means. It is unlikely to be possible to match exactly the economic benefits obtained with the costs which are held as an asset simply because of the nature of the development. The entity, the nature of development activities, the entity should consider the period of time over which the product is expected to be sold. Now, here it is also mentioned that it is normally uh, normally difficult, or it is unlikely to match exactly to exactly match the economic benefits with the costs. So the entity, the business concerned should be able to should consider the period of time, should consider the uh, period of time over which they expect to use the asset. In other words, the company should be able to recognize, should be able to identify the age, the time over which they will use the intangible asset. So now I think it is enough for a basic, for an introductory explanation of IAS 38. So let's just jump on to the questions in the revision kit. Now, IAS 38, intangible assets. Which of the following are intangible non-current assets in the financial statements of IOTA company? A patent for a new glue purchased for $20,000 by IOTA company. Now, the company here has purchased a patent. I told you that patents registered or purchased are our intangible assets in accordance with IAS 38. So this is an intangible asset. Development costs capitalized in accordance with IAS 38, definitely. Development costs capitalized in accordance with IAS 38 are intangible assets. So number one is an intangible asset. Number two is an intangible asset. A license to broadcast a television series purchased by IOTA for $150,000. A license to broadcast a television series. Now, the company has obtained a license to broadcast a television series. The company has now the license actually gives company the broadcasting rights. What By obtaining the license, the company got the broadcasting rights. So the license actually gives the company a right. As I told you that such licenses are what I have already told you that such licenses are what are our intangible assets. So again, in 3 we again have an intangible asset, a state of the art factory. Now, state of the art. State of the art means something very technologically advanced, but it is a factory. It is a factory. A factory has a physical substance as opposed to intangible assets that do not have physical existence. So, factory. Factory is what? Factory is a non-current asset and should be treated under IAS 16 and not IAS 38. This is a tangible asset because this is a tangible asset, not an intangible asset. So in first three instances, we have intangible assets, but the fourth one is a non-current asset in accordance with IAS 16. So B is the correct answer to this one, question 9.5. Moving forward, I have two interesting questions here. Now, here I suggest that you just pause this video. You just pause this video and read this scenario. Read the question. So it will make things easier for you. It will make things easier for you. The following information is relevant for questions 9.9 and 9.10. Just read this information, and the things will become easier for you when I solve this question in front of you. So please pause this video here, go through this question, and when I come back, or when you resume this video, I will explain 9.9 and 9.10. Now, the question, this question actually tells us how much is the balance of development costs. How much was the balance of development cost on 1st January 2007, and how much was the how much amount was recorded for research and development expenditure for the year. And then we are given the breakup of the two below. So what we need to do in this question, if you see the requirements 9.9 and 9.10, according to IAS 38 intangible assets, what amount should be charged in the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income for research and development costs? According to IAS 38 intangible assets, what amount should be disclosed as an intangible asset in the statement of financial position. So by looking at the breakup, we need to evaluate, we need to identify, we need to evaluate how much should be out of all this $180,000 and $162,000. Uh, we need to tell how much should be charged to the profit and loss account, the statement of profit and loss, and how much should be recognized in the statement of financial position as an intangible asset. Now here, project 836, this is a completed project and the amount spent is on this project is $82,000 and the project has been completed. Now we are told further that an amortization on the project uh, an amortization on the project has been charged of $20,000. Uh, the the 180,000 total for development cost as at 1st January relates to two projects. Now, this was the amount, $180,000 was the amount of development cost on 1st January 2007. $82,000 was $82,000 were for a project 836, uh, which was completed before 1st January 2007. This means this means that during this entire year to 31st December 2007, amortization should have been charged to project 836 as this project represents an intangible asset. So this 220,000 will be charged in the income statement, the profit and loss statement, and the remainder of out of this 82,000 will be recognized as an intangible asset. Project 910 has not been completed yet. Project 910 has not been completed yet. Now, the point here worth noting is that we only charge amortization once a project is complete. Once a project is complete, once a product is completely developed. Now, in my example of team of scientists, remember that I said that the team intended to develop a cure. The team intended to develop a cure for uh, for the public. So amortization will only be charged. Amortization in such a case will only be charged once the product uh, which was being developed is complete complete and the company is able to sell the product or use the product. Now, for example, let's suppose that a company has a team of that a company has a team of software developers, and they are given the task to develop a software exclusively for the company. for to perform certain tasks. Now, amortization will only be charged. Amortization will only be charged on the computer software, as computer software is an intangible asset. I told you when I started the video. Amortization will only be charged once the software is complete, once the programmers, the software developers have developed the software completely, and the company is in the position to use that software or even sell the software. Only then the company can charge amortization on that particular software. Now, here, project 910 is in progress, so no amortization will be charged on this project. So, company have already spent $98,000. So, this 98,000 will also be capitalized as an intangible asset. Now, out of these 82, only $62,000 will be capitalized. $98,000 will also be capitalized. This 20,000 will be expensed out in profit and loss statement. Now, research expenditure. I told you that all the research expenditure is expensed out to profit and loss statement and not capitalized, as opposed to development cost. Development cost on project 910, which continues to satisfy the requirements in IAS 1338 for capitalization. Now, these development costs of $59,000, $59,000 uh, meet the criteria for recognition as an intangible asset. So they will be capitalized. So they will be capitalized in accordance with IAS 38. So these 59 will be capitalized in statement of financial position. This 98,000 will also be recognized in statement of financial position, and this 82,000 will also go to the statement of financial position. The only amounts that belong to profit and loss statement are this $20,000 amortization and this $103,000 research and development expenditure. So the total amount charged to profit and loss statement, total amount charged to profit and loss statement will be $103,000 plus another $20,000. Total will be $123,000. In the same way, statement of financial position. How much will be recognized in the statement of financial position? Let's find out. Let me take out my calculator. Here, this $62,000, this $62,000 should be recognized in the statement of financial position. $98,000 should be recognized in the statement of financial position, and again $59,000 should be recognized in the statement of financial position, making it a total of $219,000. So these $219,000 will be recognized in the SOFP. 62,000, 98,000, and 59. $219,000 will be recognized in the SOFP, statement of financial position, as what? As intangible assets. So these are the two amounts. 123,000 to profit and loss account, statement of profit and loss, and 219,000 to statement of financial position. This is the answer. Okay then. Let's continue to check whether yes. Now, as you can see, 123,000 in the statement of profit and loss and other comprehensive income, 123,000, as I mentioned here, as I calculated in front of you, and $219,000 recognized as an intangible asset in the statement of financial position. So I hope that you like this video. Let me know if you need any kind of assistance. I am available on different social media platforms like WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Thanks for watching and hope to see you soon. Thank you very much.